Good evening, everybody, and welcome along once again, or for the first time, to the Big Five Racing Podcast. We're here for your insights into the world of national hunt racing, taking you, as the name by now, of course, would suggest, through the best 5 races across Britain and Ireland every single week with all the best tips and analysis to try and bring you fully embedded into the great game. I made a posthumous comment last week to kick things off by declaring the state of play for the jump season in one of the novelty seasons, and it is becoming one of the best we have seen in a long time. That was all, of course, before events from Newcastle on Saturday amplified that statement tenfold. We'll be getting you into that ungodly dramatic fighting fifth shortly, alongside some great racing this weekend. But it was a very busy Saturday for my two acquaintances. Matty, a trip down the M40 to the fabulous Newbury Racecourse for the Hennessy, lifted by great friend of the podcast, one Tristan Durrell, who will be joining us for award very shortly as well. But oh my goodness, that must have been a hell of a thing to witness from the grandstands.
Yeah, brilliant day all round, to be fair, and just topped off by Tris winning the Hennessy. Gutted I didn't back it, but I think the enjoyment of seeing him win that was all the same. And yeah, a day I won't forget, being on the race course in a long time, and I'm sure Cott will agree. But no, we had a really good day Saturday, and a few nice winners, and a good laugh with the lads. So no complaints.
Yeah, sounded like a really good day out. We'll assess the performance of Panic Attack also, Cotty, but you were there too for the first time at Newbury, and no doubt it's a place that you'll be very keen to get back to after what locked a near-capacity crowd on a day that jumps racing kind of felt like it got a bit of its life back. We had full crowds at Newcastle, full crowds at Newbury. It's all going well at the minute.
Yeah, no, first time attending Newbury, and very impressed. Plenty of bars. The queues weren't too big. Toilet queues weren't too big. Plenty of food choices, easy to get a bet on and whatnot. So no, it was a very enjoyable experience, and topped off with some decent enough racing. I mean, apart from the Hennessy, I mean, it wasn't a jam packed class Saturday card. I mean, there were some decent races, but they weren't all top class. But no, great for Tristan to really put his name on the map and have a big prize pot to take home. I'm sure just before Christmas, it's a lovely little top up to have.
Absolutely it is, and hopefully I'll get a day down with you there sometime, possibly in the spring, the summer. The Lockinge, one of my favourite races of the season. It's a course I'll definitely get down to plenty of times when I can. That was a race we'll come to very shortly. Before that, goodness, folks, how dramatic was this? The fighting fifth took place in Newcastle on the Saturday, over 2 miles and a furlong. We had the return of Constitution Hill. We had New Lion coming back to 2 miles for the first time after his win in the Turners, both on the deck, and the prize was collected by the champion hurdle. She's starting to become a bit of a wonder mare, isn't she? Golden Ace at a massive 22-1. I've decided the way we're going to do this is we're going to work backwards, lads, because what isn't happening enough, and probably rightly so, the media attention is going to grasp onto those two horses that fell, is this mare, Matty, just simply now isn't getting the plaudit she deserves. One side of the coin there is, of course, that she's picking up prizes because others are leaving them on the floor. The other one, and the great phrase, I think it was Logan Williams said it, is they have to jump to win. She's done it again. 8 hurdles, fantastic. She was there when it mattered. Found a beautiful jump at the last as well to put away Amsterdam in the main line, who ran good races in second and third. But Golden Ace, just talk to me. What are your thoughts really on this horse? Because she's now in the picture and the contention for the champion hurdle. That I have no doubt about.
Yeah, no, obviously a high-class mare, and I think it's a brilliant training performance from Jeremy Scott, because the race she ran at Wetherby was nothing short of a shocker, really. Absolutely stuffed by, Katira, who, if Katira was to be in that fighting fifth on Saturday, you'd imagine she'd be beaten out of sight. So a remarkable turnaround in not a short space of time, and obviously, yeah, she picks up the pieces when the others seem to leave them on the floor. So big credit to her, and it's always good to see smaller trainers continue to compete in these big races, and it must give other smaller trainers around the country a bit of inspiration that you just need that one flag bearing horse, and it can take you to places that you wouldn't thought you'd go. So no, brilliant day for Jeremy Scott, for Lorcan Williams, and the whole team there. And I suppose obviously we'll get on to the other talking points now. But yeah, credit to
100%, yeah, and a great point that Matty made there, Cotty, was about small trainers just needing one big horse. Jeremy Scott, to start the season, I think he went about 0 for 36. His horses just weren't running out of place. You've seen that with Golden Ace, of course, at Weatherby. Some horses just grasp to the big time moments, and she's done that exactly here. Are you marking her performance up, or are you again conscious that two fantastic horses in behind didn't complete?
Well, I suppose you'd have to mark it up and think she'll be there or thereabouts, and come March, the high horse Amsterdam, Mullins has took it out the race in Ireland the week before, and obviously thought that Amsterdam was up to the task on seasonal reappearance to do itself justice against Constitution Hill and the New Lion. And with those both tipping up, you'd have thought before the race, if you knew that was going to happen, then Amsterdam should have won quite convincingly. But Golden Ace has obviously got her head in front again, and to beat a horse out the Mullins stable is one achievement. But to beat one that was held in that high regard as Amsterdam was is another big achievement in itself. So they're all credit to Jeremy Scott and his team. I just couldn't see that happening, even if well, obviously the two market leaders did tip up, but after that run at Weatherby, it was like a woeful effort, and like Matty said, the time frame turnaround wasn't that. Didn't have long to recover from that race. So no, I'd give her no chance on Saturday, but that just shows horse racing as a whole. Really, you expect the unexpected, and you can be left with egg on your face more times than not.
Perfectly said. Yeah, I was the same. I dismissed her chances based on that run from Weatherby and the fluke, in an essence, of what happened in the Champion Hurdle 9 months ago. Matty did, of course, say that he wasn't ruling out Golden Ace, and was obviously rightly to do so. And she jumped the best out of the lot of them and put away Amsterdam at the last fantastically. Amsterdam, I'm sure we're all going to keep on side. He still ran a very good fight in fifth there. Interesting to see what way Willie goes with that, but of course he'll have a master plan for that. That's the winner out of the way. Back to the New Lion then, Cotty. So we go with what was a bit of a weird run, because the New Lion was left out in front because he wanted to make the pace with Constitution Hill, and Harry was quite keen to do that. Of course, Corn Hill will come on to in a minute, fell at the second. That left him to make the bone meat of the rest of the race. What that did was it caused him to nearly run out, jump a couple of obscure hurdles in the back straight of Newcastle, and then got two outs, found himself on the deck again. What on earth happened there?
Yeah, it's very I don't know, I don't know how to describe it really. I think the way it all went wrong, a horse with a fair bit of experience over hurdles, ducked had a look at the wing in the back straight. I think it was the second one in the back. And then the one just before they turned in for home was very, very long and didn't really have much margin for error. And then obviously the 1-2 out where came crashing down. I think it was his front left shoe just caught the top of the bar, and then obviously Gravity won that occasion and tipped up. But I'm not too sure. I don't know if the petrol tank was running on empty, hence the fall or not. But I'm sure only Harry Scoutman will know the answer to that. I definitely don't. But I don't think it was a sure winner by any stretch. 2 out. I think the race was still open, and yeah, I mean, you'd have liked to have thought with no Constitution out, might have been 4 or 5 lengths clear, jumping 2 out, and then go and win by 10, 12 lengths and be a real candidate for the Champion Hurdle. But wasn't far enough clear for me really to think the race was done by any stretch.
And because Matty, he made so much of the running, coming all the way up to 3 hours, that's when the challenge really started to get to him. When you could see Golden Ace, you could see Nemean Lion, and you could see Amsterdam all right on his hook strengths. And when he jumped 2 out, maybe not the biggest question. We'll come on to that in a moment with Cornell, but the big question for him, of course, was would he have won the race knowing that the pace was there behind established 2-milers? Of course, Golden Ace has won a champion hurdle. Do you think the new line was going to get over that hurdle, rejuvenate himself, and show that engine to win this race?
Yeah, at the time I wasn't sure at all, and then I've watched it back a few times. I actually managed to catch up with Harry on Sunday and speak to him about the race, and he was pretty confident he would have won. He just felt, he was just having to keep him up to his work. I mean, what we've got to remember about this horse, it's his first run out of novice company. Also, the first time he's been in front for longer than a few furlongs. That's a big, it's a big thing for a horse in an open grade one to hit the front. I don't think that would have been, in Harry's plan A. I think in an ideal world, Constitution Hill takes him into the race, and then we get a proper horse race when they turn in. And it didn't look like a tired fall to me. He's took a chance, and he'd done it in the Turners, got away with it. It actually looked really slick, and if he stands up, it looks really good. But he just didn't quite get away with it, and yeah, it's cost him the race. I do think he was going to win. He stays. They hadn't gone. They hadn't gone overly quick, so I think there was plenty more left under the bonnet, and I definitely wouldn't be dismissing the new line at all. I've seen coming out saying that the trip doesn't suit. That's absolute nonsense. I think he's proved there that he can go the 2-mile pace, and ultimately when this next time I'm sure they'll make sure the horse gets a lead, and I think he's going to go to the international hurdle, they've said, at Cheltenham, so more galloping track. It's good, sure to suit him, and yeah, definitely not the end of the New Line season by any stretch, but not the ideal start. Yeah, there's not too much more to say.
Still firm that he's a 2-mile champion hurdle candidate. They're not going to switch to the stayers like some people or go chase him.
No, they won't go chasing. Not after that fall. He definitely won't go chasing this year. And for me, the trip didn't look an issue. He never looked outpaced. I think if anything, it was a bit more greenness in front. He's had a real look round, plenty going on. The hurdles are in the middle of the course at Newcastle, so it's not like he's got a rail to hug. So it's quite a lot for a relatively unexposed horse, to ask of him. And I'm sure it wasn't the ideal situation, like I said, but that's where he ended up, and I think he ran very creditably, and I think he was going to go on to win, but we'll never know. And yeah, we'll see next time.
Okay, interesting. Still, in your mind, good enough to do this at 2 miles. And the thing I do agree with you there is he's definitely going to want to lead into his race next time. But it was a bit unfortunate that he had to make the pace. The pace which was collapsed by Constitution Hill. You'd be amazed how long we're about to make a forward race and post statement last, folks. Led narrowly, fell second. Cotty, where do you begin? I mean, I've thought about this quite a bit. I didn't actually see the race live. I had to catch it about an hour after it had happened, but I could tell something had happened because the phone just blew up. And it wasn't blowing up for New Line. It wasn't blowing up for Golden Ace. It was blowing up for this horse. The one-time perennial 2-mile champion hurdler in this country, on his last 3 starts now in Great Britain, has fallen on all 3. That brings in grounds, of course, for the BHA to intervene here and to cease this horse's opportunity to run anymore. Where, when, and how? I mean, there's no real way to start asking you questions here, but just sort of what are you thinking after what you've seen on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, all the falls are pretty much all the same, aren't they? Kind of just steps at it, and it's almost like as soon as his feet leave the air, he wants to put them down straight away. And I think it's just a mental game now in the horse's head. I mean, there's rumours that on Thursday he fell while schooling. Well, I don't know if
they've since been dismissed by Nicky Henderson as well.
I was going to say that's got to be the biggest load of bollocks I've ever read. I mean, if that was the case, then
he wouldn't have run.
Well, yeah, but he'd have had to leave early Friday morning to get up there Saturday. So,
yeah,
if it's one of the great hurdlers that everyone keeps referring to, then the fall at home, and then within 12 to 16 hours, he'd have been in a lorry up to Newcastle. 6-7 hour drive. I mean, it was just never. The rumours were never going to be true, were they? But no, I just think it's a mental. Must be a mental game with the horse that sadly just can't get over. I mean, over in Ireland, the horse, was never up for it on the day. But one thing he did do was get round.
Mm-hmm.
That day, there was obviously James Bowen rode it. Whether it just needs a change of hands, but I think if I owned it, I'd never run it over hurdles again. I'd think I'd look at going chasing and just see if he can respect his fences better than he does his hurdles, because he clearly doesn't respect his hurdles. I don't think he can ever run over hurdles again, personally. I'd probably look to go chasing. If not, you'd have to go down the flat route and see what you can do down that avenue. But it doesn't. I mean, they say that Nicky Henderson hasn't got any flat horses or anything to go with it, but I mean, it's a completely different sport, isn't it? Flat racing. The horses are bred different, trained different. I mean, I know he's a very, very, very quick horse, but the flat is completely different. If I was Nicky Henderson, I'd just be, scratching my head. And when it fell, it was just such a shame. I mean, I've got no connection with the horse or anything. So how Mr. Buckley and Nicky Henderson must be feeling must be absolutely gut wrenching that they just can't. The preparation, they said they seem to get spot on, and as soon as it gets to a course, it all goes out the window. It's such a shame, for the sport more than anything. When we watched on the big screen at Newbury, now it's just a big gasp, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just such a shame for the sport, really, more than anything. But no, I think if I was the owner, then I wouldn't be running over hurdles again. I'd probably look into fences and just hope that he'd respect that. And then if that wasn't going to plan, then you'd have to look at the flat, because owners and trainers, they wait all their life. Maybe not Nicky Anderson as such, because he's been privileged to have such good horses, but you wait a lifetime for a horse like this, and then for things to happen. I think it'd be stupid to retire, and because the horse is so good, you're never going to get another one like that again. So to retire the horse, I think is a bit rash, and a bit quick to jump to conclusions like that. There is different avenues. It's just whether he'll be as good down those avenues as he once was a hurdler.
Okay, and we'll circle back around to those future opportunities for Cornhill in a minute, Matty. Obviously, the idea of hurdles, chasing, flat retirement, all viable avenues at the minute. What I want to do is go back to these now recent events of a falling and a displacement out of the back of the telly in Punchestown, where he was on an away day. He was, in my eyes, never going to win. So the main thing that's come out in the last couple of days has been comments from Nicky Henderson about the padded hurdle situation. This isn't new in British racing. It was introduced in 2013 at Newton Abbot. It's been progressively coming into racecourses across the UK. By October of 2026, it is an absolute mandatory thing from the BHA to have them. What we need to now do is assess his introduction into padded hurdles and whether that makes a difference, because he won a Christmas hurdle at Kempton on padded hurdles. He won an international hurdle at Cheltenham on padded hurdles. But of course, he's fallen 3 times since that. And prior to that, when he won his champion hurdle, wasn't on padded hurdles. Do you think that has made the world of difference to this horse? And it's causing, that's the primary distraction for why this horse now is completely disrespecting his obstacles? Or is it a bigger picture for you?
No, I don't think you can solely blame the padded hurdles. I mean, like you say, he's won races on the padded hurdles. I think it's nonsense people coming out saying they're bad for racing purely because we've got one horse who doesn't like them. The stats actually prove that they are a hell of a lot more safer for horses. There's been a lot less injuries.
Balls have gone down by 11% since their introduction.
Exactly. I mean, do we want more falls and to result in constitutional winning races? I don't think so. I think it's the
There's no guarantee that he'd stay on his feet if they reverted back to the old hurdles anyway.
No, the safety of the horse is under the spotlight like nothing else in horse racing. You cannot give the non-racing fans, the animal rights protesters, you can't give them any more reason to, you can't give them any more of a leg to stand on. So that, I think it's nonsense. They're not going to get change back. It's at the end of the day, I think Nicky Henderson now, he's running out of things to say. We know how much he loves to talk, and he's told us all how good the horse looks, how well he's moving. Sometimes I think he'd do himself so much, he'd make his life so much easier if he was just a little bit more to himself about things and, just keep it short, sweet. But he ultimately digs himself a hole, and now he's seems to be digging even a bigger one, blaming the padded hurdles. I can't have it at all. So no, not for me at all. Again, I don't know what the answer is for this horse. I think Harry was clever. Harry Skelton, he put the pressure on the horse early, because if you give him 3 hurdles on his own in front and then he warms up, you've potentially threw the race away. Ultimately, Harry hasn't won the race anyway, but he knew that was an opportunity to get his main rival under pressure. Now, I'm not saying anyone wants him to fall, but you can get him to make a mistake, or like he did, he fell. It makes the other horses' lives a lot easier, and it did, but it's a long old way back now. It seems like they're going to go to Kempton. Retirement's been ruled out, which I think's the right thing to do. Also, I think they should rule out a flat campaign. I mean, this horse is nearly going to be 9. What do we gauge by him? He's been a superstar of National Hunt race, and I don't think he should just be brushed aside to the flat because he can't learn to jump. I think that'd be up there with retirement for me personally. So yeah, I agree with Cott with the chasing idea. I don't think, if any trainer isn't going to do that, it's Nicky Henderson. I mean, he's probably one of the most cautious trainers there is. So I can't see that. Maybe if he was with a different trainer, they might go with it. I thought perhaps a set of cheek pieces normally are used to try and, galvanize a horse and rev it up a little bit. I don't think he needs any of that. I mean, he travelled into the first and the second beautifully, but might just help his concentration and not worry about what's upsides him or, what else is going on. But yeah, it's a nearly impossible task Nicky Henderson's got now, and yeah, I'd rather him than me anyway.
It's funny, actually. I went through a really weird 48 hours with commodities with Nicky Henderson over the weekend, because in the immediate aftermath, when he gave interviews from the race, there was genuine distraught there. That's not playing up for the cameras. He was genuinely gutted. He said in his eyes, "There's nothing more I could do for this horse." And if Nicky Henderson can't do anything more for a horse, the comeback king himself, I don't need to mention the Sprinter Sacras of years gone by and what he's done with other horses, even when he got Shishkin back to his best to win a bowl. That's, I felt for him. But then obviously he's come out now and said, the padded hurdles are the problem. He's winning grade ones left, right, and center with padded hurdles. Like, if Sergino goes back down that champion hurdle route now, is that going to be a problem for him? No, it's not a commodity specifically to one horse, and I don't think that's how the game should be played. I did disagree with you about the flat comments about that being a near retirement for him, because the 2.5 mile division on the flat consists of a lot of older horses anyways. In recent years, we've had the likes of Kyprios, who was second.
I don't think he'd stay though. I don't think he'd stay in Ascot Gold Cup.
Okay, that's a conversation for another time. 2 years ago, we had this conversation about him possibly going for a summer day out to the Ascot Gold Cup, and I would have agreed with you because Kyprios was still there and at the top of his game. The division's kind of fizzling out a little bit now, though, Cotty, because he's done. Trollerman looks like he's coming to the end of his tenure, so there is a spot there to go and pick up 700 grand on the flat, and that could be an option for them. Didn't
Trollerman win everything this season?
Yeah, but Godolphin have said that they're going to see if they can get him up for one more season. He's aging on as well. An 8-year-old over National Hunt is about a 12-year-old over the flat, really, isn't it? They've got a lot more lifespan because they race so much more often. I mean, just interestingly on your take, could he win an Ascot Gold Cup in your eyes if he was campaigned on the flat and built up to it?
Never in a million years, no.
No, not for me at all.
See, I think he'd have a chance. I'm not saying he'd win it. By God, there's some great speedsters on the flat, but if he's,
I don't think he would win any group race on the flat. I don't think he'd win any group race on the flat.
Of course he could.
I think he'd find a way to trip over on the flat and fall on his nose, to be honest.
Always an option. I think
Or he'd come out the stalls head first, knowing him or something.
But the one thing we do agree on is his speed on the flat when he's not had the hurdles to focus on is breathtaking. Yeah, I know that's them going at 32 miles an hour, not 40.
It's a complete different kettle of fish, though. For me, he's a big national hunt horse. I think he's by Blue Brazil. I don't know the stats, but I don't think there's many flat horses by Blue Brazil.
No, there isn't.
No, so I think it's a proper clutch at straws, and I mean, it's a risk, and if it pays off, brilliant. But if he gets stuffed 56 out of sight in an Ascot Gold Cup, I mean, I think it's more embarrassment than anything else.
A lot of these juveniles you see come through the ranks, James Owens and the Gidleys are prime example. You've got, East India Dock and Burdick Road. They never ran 2 mile on the flat. They were 12 furlong horses or 10 furlong horses. You don't run 2 miles on the flat and then go 2 miles over hurdles.
Yeah, but Burdick Road won a Chester Cup.
Yeah, but that's
May.
But but that's zipping round Chester, isn't it? It's a tight enough track. I mean, I think a lot of horses that come off the flat and go into the jumps is what I'm saying is they don't run over the same distance over the flat as they do over hurdles. Your good juveniles are, a sharp 10 furlong or a mile horse, and then they run over 2 miles and they see it out. As with Constitution Hill, if you threw that in an Ascot Gold Cup, it's running over 4 furlongs more at a quicker tempo. I mean, you're going to need. It's almost like if he was running over 3 miles in a hurdles, you could kind of make a point, I think.
Okay, all right, okay, but there's evidence there that he has produced himself as a good 2.5 mile hurdle. We are going to go on from this race very shortly, I promise. But he's won an Aintree over 2.5 miles. Like his engine, I don't think we've got any problems with either. So if his stamina is there and the pace is there, then fuck it, why not? It's a massive pot to win.
No, I couldn't. I don't know. I couldn't see him winning any group race on the flat.
What would you do with him if you owned him? Hell of a question.
If I owned him, I'd have to go chase him with him because I couldn't run him over hurdles again because, well, I mean, the history's there to rule that one out. So I definitely wouldn't go over hurdles. I think if you went down the flat route and it didn't work out, which I don't think it would, then you could kind of ruin the horse's legacy from what he's shown on the track so far. It'd be a shame for him to go down the flat route and become like Matty said, a bit of a laughing stock. I think either go over fences and change the jockey is what I'd do. Not that I'm blaming Nico for the fall on Saturday. I just think he wasn't at his best in Ireland, granted, but I think that was he was looking around at the tape and all that, but he didn't fall that day. The 3 times he has fouled, Nico de Boinville's been on it all 3 times. From the back, from the front, and he's fouled. So I just think change the hands and go over fences is what I'd do.
Matty, same question for you. Where would you send him?
I'd go set of cheek pieces and Christmas hurdle. I get Cott's point. If he's with a different trainer, I could have fully agreed. Just with Nicky Anderson, I think he'll go over hurdles again. I don't hate the change of jockey idea, but again, I can't see it. Nicky's very loyal to Nico, and Nico's ultimately won basically all of his races on him anyway. So, yeah, I'd just go set cheek pieces, go and give the Christmas hurdle another bout.
There you go. I'd crack him on the flat, personally, so we've got 3 completely different opinions. But
who would you have on the flat? Obviously, Nicky Anderson wouldn't have a flat jockey, would he? Who would you like to see ride Constitutional on the flat?
Depending on availability, obviously, like you mentioned it there, I was going to pick up on it that obviously Nicky doesn't have many flat horses in his stable. He works with the Gosdens quite closely, and he sent Palladium there in the summer. So obviously you've got to buy into the likes of, a Sheen Murphy could be available if the ride was there, and then obviously It's a hard question because Gosden doesn't have a retained jockey now with whoever's best, but you would love to see an Oisin Murphy on that. Buick will be riding for someone in Morwell, but anyone who can get the horse to focus and settle, it needs to be a top class jockey. Absolutely, it does. And I think the likes of an Oisin Murphy, a Ross Orion, somebody like that can get him into a position to fire late and put a lot of heart into the last 2 furlongs of a race would be what I'd do with him. But look, we're going to be talking about this horse for another 12 months, regardless of what he does, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm going to have to pay you 2 overtime if we don't keep moving on. So that is the Fighting Fifth, well and truly covered with the big headlines from the weekend. But our big headlines came from Newbury in the Coral Gold Cup handicap chase. A lot of people, Ruby Walsh said it, of course, on ITV whenever I managed to pick up the coverage, that he didn't think this horse had any chance of turning around in 2 weeks and staying up and trip. Matiola Tuck was a good jockey that knew what he was doing. Panic Attack, 16-1 under Tristan Durrell. Just went clear at 2 out. No one got within sight of him. There was a couple running on late. The likes of 3-Card Bragg, I thought, ran a bell to the changing man. Placed in the big handicap for the 47th time in his career. And de Bromhead's gorgeous Tom in 4. Panic Attack took the trip well. And this horse went off 139. It'll probably get about, £7-8 probably for winning that. But still quite cozily in the handicap. And you could do a lot of things with this mare now.
Yeah, brilliant performance. Just got into a fantastic rhythm. I mean, my eye was always caught to the horse all the way round, and just did not miss a beat. In the box seat as well the whole way. I caught some stats from the race this morning that her finishing speed was right up there. I mean, she was really going away at the line. Perhaps suggests that it wasn't wasn't an extreme test of stamina, so maybe that's played into her strengths there. But there's no doubt when she stays the trip, that's for sure.
Ultimate contender for you, perhaps?
Potentially, yeah. Why not even see? Could she even end up in a Grand National potentially?
Possibly.
She looks like she's absolutely thriving. I think she got £8. I think she's up to 147 now. So that's a lovely weight. I mean, to go in the national with, probably get 11 stone or just under, if depending on what carries top weight. But definitely an option for this horse. And yeah, just a point on the turnaround. I mean, to win a Paddy Power 2 weeks ago to the day. Most trainers wouldn't have even considered that as an option. The fact that Dan has eyed it up, I mean, he had her entered in the race before just in case. I mean, these are the little things that people don't pick up on. The fact that he's already got that in his mind before she's gone and won a Paddy Power, it just shows the level of, how Dan operates. And, he's doing this with up to 200 plus horses. It's remarkable, really. But, yeah, I don't think any mares, I don't think any, or maybe a handful, have done what she's done to do that double. Remarkable. And yeah, she's definitely a mare that's on the up. And, she's 9 years old, which is unbelievable. You think she'd be coming to the end of her days now, but she looks like she's just getting better and better.
Yeah, it hasn't been done since at least 1984. It could well be longer than that, but like I just mentioned to you two, I had to go out and get milk, so I just stopped looking. But it's been at least 50 years since that double's been done anyway, so fantastic training effort there, as you said, from Dan Skelton. Looking through the rest of the field then, Cotty, Spanish Harlan pulled up for me, but Katate Dori was good enough in 60. He'll have his day. Maya Town, you backed on the day, was jumping very, very well until he fell, unfortunately, but I think was probably just, I don't know, his eyesight must have gone. He was jumping a little bit left at times as well. Resplendent Grey managed to finish 11th. You would think that wasn't much of an effort, but to have finished ahead of 6 horses, given he was out the telly at one stage, you knew Sean Bone was on that one. Break down the Coral Cup for us, Coral Gold Cup.
Yeah, I mean, my main player in the race was Resplendent Grey, and it reminded me of Hunter Legend a couple of races before on the day. It was just, after 2 fences, you knew your day was done, and you were best off going to the bar and beating the queue. But I did also like the Doyen Chief in the race. The starter did that no help. Tom Bellamy had a winner at Plumpton on Monday, and he was still absolutely fuming about it. So now I think I managed to get bet credits back for that one as a goodwill gesture, which was nice for Bet365 to do. But yeah, it was a shame to see Maya Town fall. If I could have clip Matty's face at the time and put it in a picture, I would have done. But now I think the jump down the on the side of the course before the home turn, Matty looked at me and said, "Trista's going to win the Coral Gold Cup," and you know, like at Newcastle, you've got to jump to win, and Panic Attack didn't miss a beat the whole way round, and that's arguably why you could say she kept her position and she was in the best position throughout, because she didn't give herself a reason not to be in the best position, because she was jumping so well, and got into a lovely rhythm, and jumping 2 out, and then the last, it was how far is this going to win by, not is it going to get caught. So I think that shows what Matty said, stamina is in abundance, and yeah, Trish got me and Matty the tickets for Saturday, and I was just kicking myself that I've not even had a tenner or a fiver each way on the horse to win, but no, seeing him come back in, the smile on his face was just special, and Matty caught up with his mom and dad as well, and they were over the moon as well. So it was a really, really good day's racing, and no, that just tops it off, really.
Yeah, fantastic feel-good moment there, and a really good stamina performance, I thought, from Panic Attack. The Changing Man's the one I'm just always going to keep on side of. He just runs belters and handicaps. He will get his day for Joe Tizzard, I'm sure, but there's definitely a lot of form lines that'll go towards, like you said there, the Ultimate, the Grand National, big 3-mile handicaps throughout the rest of the season. All right, then, that is the racing from last week taken care of. If you didn't get a little bit of insight out of that, I don't know where you will find it. But we've, of course, got 5 more races for you this week. We've got a couple of courses to take you through from Sunday. They've got the Peterborough Chase, the big day at Huntington. We're over the Grand National fences as well for the Becher at Aintree. But before that, it is Tingle Creek Weekend, one of the great horses from the 80s, a personal favourite of mine, and a decent enough renewal this year if all contendees go. Before that, we've got a couple of novice races to take you from first. We'll kick off with the Friday part of their card, which is the Betfair Isha Novices Graded 2 Chase over 3 miles. Big old long one for the novices. This one, Doyen Quest, who we've seen at Cheltenham a couple of times, won 4 weeks ago as well, is the 11-8 favourite for the on-fire Skelton household. Quebecois there at 11-4 for Nichols and Cobden. Solver loves it around this place. He's 7-2, probably wants a little bit softer ground. As bigger prices about the rest. Matthew, we've got Doyen Quest at the top of the market here, who into a 7-year-old novice chasing campaign. I was in the William Hill at the members area on, I can't remember what meeting it was, but it was the one that Doyen Quest didn't win at about even money. 7 degenerate gamblers, one of them below me here, all backed him that day and cost him a fortune. Need to start making money back on him. Can he win this at 11-8?
I'll take him on at the price. I think he's just too short. I don't think he's that reliable. He's had a busy enough time of it already. I mean, this will be his 5th run of the new season. And I feel like last time he was given an absolute peach of a ride by Harry, just took the bull by the horns and didn't miss a beat. I'd be surprised if any of the other jockeys here let him get away with that again. And I think Doyen Quest, he's one of those horses, it needs to sort of go right for him to see him at his best. I'm not sure it's going to here. Quite like Salva here, to be honest, for Gary and Josh Moore. Probably the classiest horse in the race. His back form from his juvenile days is definitely high class. I mean, he's top rated here by a couple of pounds. Doyen Quest has to carry a penalty as well, so he's very well in at the weights here with Doyen Quest, and there's plenty of rain around between now and Friday. I'm hoping that gets into Sandown. I mean, it doesn't need too much to make it test in there. It's a stiff 3 miles, so a bit of soft ground, and yeah, I like the way this horse jumped on his chasing debut. Definitely showed signs that he'll improve from that run, and I think 7-2 here. He's the bet for me in the race.
He's a classy type solver. He's 5, so he's got youth on his side here. Caelan Quinn will take the ride for that. Like you said, you would like to see a little bit of softer ground. That's what caused him a few 2s and 3s at the end of last season. Doyen Quest really stung you Once Upon a Time, Cotty. He's been pretty consistent since, like Matty said there, he has been pretty busy, but won a couple of weeks ago. Concedes £3 here for that allowance of winning those races. On the favourite?
Yeah, I'm not sure if you're mistaking me for Gappy with Doyen Quest. Wasn't a horrendous beat that day, but
Easily done.
but nevertheless, no, I think I'm happy to take this on at 11-8. I'm actually going to back the horse that was second to it last time out, Quebecois, for Paul Nichols. He had a nice double on Saturday when we were at Newbury, and maybe his horses are just starting to come into a little bit of form. This will be its second run since having a wind up. I think the stats say that horses always run better second time under a wind up than they do the first time. That day it was also its seasonal reappearance as well. Harry Scouten give the Doyen Quest a great ride that day, and I just think at the prices 11-8 and 11-4, I think the value very much lies with the Nichols horse. Was actually sent off odds on last time out to beat Doyen Quest, so the market suggests that day that Quebecois was a good thing, but didn't happen. I don't think any of the jockeys will be giving Scouten an easy time of things after the performance Doyen Quest put in last time out. I just think 11-4 could represent a little bit of value. Doyen Quest was giving it £5 last time. It's only giving it £3 this time, so I've got an extra £2 to carry here, Quebecois, and make up 10 lengths. But I'm just gonna go off the second run since a wind up, and fitness will be on his side this time, having a run under its belt. So I'm hoping he can make the ground up, and I think 11-4 is a fair enough price. Go on.
Is Nichols back in your good books now? Because he fired a couple of winners in there over the weekend. He seems to be getting going now.
I mean, I wasn't on any of his winners over the weekend, but no, nice to see that he is having a couple of winners, because a lot of horses that have left his yard have gone on to win. So I'd imagine it's been a dark couple of weeks for himself, but nice to see that he's getting a couple of Saturday winners. Lawrence Bay, you could give that a shout. Won a nice matchup race at Utoxeter on chasing debut. Won that by 7 lengths, but was always in first gear. Set the tempo that day, so maybe that could serve it up to Doyen Quest if Doyen Quest uses the same tactics as last time out. I just think 11-4 Quebecois is a decent enough price, really. So I'll have a small play on that. Nothing really to go off on the others. I think the ground will have to get in very testing for Salva to have a chance.
Agree with that, and I'm going to tell you in as well with Quebec. Well, I thought this was actually quite a decent novice chase, to be fair. I thought there's 4 or 5 of these that have got good enough potential to rise up in their official ratings, and not going to echo on too much more about what you said there. Yes, it was a 10-length defeat, but I love the idea that this is a second wind up. Nichols has a fantastic record at Sandown over the years, and this is a horse that I've always kind of, the last couple of seasons, I've put good money onto him. I lost a bit at Exeter. I'm hoping to win that back here. I agree. I just think the prices right now, surely they're going to be a bit closer come Friday. I thought 11-4 good strike in midweek value, that, to be fair. So Salva wants a little soft. Doyen Quest's a good horse, but hopefully doesn't get that free lead like he did at Exeter. And if both of those things set off, then that means that Quebecois should be able to go in here second time out over fences. Keeping it down near London, then we'll move on to the 150 on the Saturday on Tingle Creek Day. That is the Betfair Henry VIII Novices Chase. It's a grade 1 over just shy of 2 miles over the rail fences. Lulamba comes here the 8-11 favourite after a fantastic start to life over fences a couple of weeks ago. Lump Sum, who won some good races last season, comes here for Sam Thomas. Be aware in there for the Skeletons, who are looking to compile that prize money up against the great man himself from Ireland. Is there at 5-1. Al Nalam's a pretty solid horse there for Murphy and Bowen, probably one of his best at 6-1. And it'll probably just be those 4 that run, I would imagine. We'll start with Lulamba, then Matty. He was absolutely ace on Exeter on that very strange Monday where we had like 16 potential Cheltenham Festival winners going at each other across Britain and Ireland. It was pretty impressive what he did. Can he back that up here at 8-11 for the Donnellys?
Yeah, I think he will, to be fair. Pretty simple. Bit of a boring choice, but I think he's in a different league to all of his rivals here. Some nice horses, don't get me wrong, but Lulamba looks a real Grade 1 horse. A lot of people suggesting he looked more of a stayer after Exeter. I didn't really get that opinion. He was fresh that day, and I'm sure there was plenty of improvement, and I think we'll see the real deal here. And I think this will be I'd like to hope he takes this impressively, and then you'd imagine it'll be a view to the Arkle, whether there's a run in between. I'm not sure. Gets weight all round here with the 4-year-old allowance, and he's plenty clear of all of these on ratings. So simple, but should just go in here, Lulamba.
Stone Mile, 2 mile, I completely agree. People saying he wants 4 over, not yet at this stage. There's that 2 mile Arkle, which it's not his to lose necessarily, but he's definitely one of the contendees. If he wins this again at Sandown over those rail fences, there's not much more I can add. You're going to hat trick him up, Cotty?
Yeah, I think you've got to really, and 8-11 is probably more than a fair price, to be honest. More hoping this wins for Nicky Anderson more than the bank balance after what happened on Saturday. He'd be looking to get back on the board. I actually think they won't be out yet, but if you can get the betting without market, I think lump sum to come second, or even to win if obviously Lulamba tips up. But I think that is a proper bet to get stuck into. Was ultra impressive, making its chase debut round. Utoxeter was jumped so well for a chase debut and beat a horse called Jax Junior, who was sent off second favourite that day, his main rival. Beat that by 16 lengths. That came out next time out and beats Jericho de Repene by 12 lengths. So as Frank the form there, be aware. Ran a decent enough race at Cheltenham last time out behind July Flower, but I think lump sum
perhaps
potentially, yeah. I just think lump sum is well clear from the rest of the field. Ali Lilam, or however you pronounce it, the Ollie Murphy horse has won a couple of nice races, but I don't think the form of those races will hold up too much. 6 Mile Bridge was held in high regard for Fergal O'Brien. Went up to run in a 2 mile 4 beginner's chase, beat Dari Hassan Paddy that day, but Dari Hassan Paddy made a very bad mistake, which arguably was which cost him really. Not sure that horse looked like it wanted to go down half a mile back to 2 miles. So I think lump sum without Lulamba is definitely the horse that will come home in second, if not in front. But Lulamba should win if it stays on its feet.
Yeah, it could be a nice angle to play a forecast in the race if you don't like taking on these short favourites. But Lulamba for us there should now go on to progress as one of the perennial 4-year-old contenders in the Arkle in March. On to the big 2 races from the Saturday then. The first of those is at Sandown. 3 o'clock there is the Betfair Tingle Creek Chase. It's a Grade 1, again, just shy of 2 miles. What a pronunciation nightmare this is about to be. Il Etait Temps, 8-11, the favourite after a fantastic win in the Clonmel Oil earlier this season. L'Eau Du Sud won at Cheltenham at 3-1. He comes here. Jonbon is entered in the Peterborough Chase. You can forget about that. He's coming here. He's 4-1 to try and get career back on life after losing to Shloer to L'Eau Du Sud. Big prices about the old timers of the 2 mile division. Matt T. We immediately after the Shloer on the Friday, was it, at the November meeting, made a little sort of futures market for when this Tingle Creek that we've been excited to see come round, and it has now. Il Etait Temps opened at even money before entries. I took a very little bit of that. I wish I took more, because 8-11, in my eyes, bet of the season. Prove me wrong.
Yeah, no, going to agree with you, to be honest. Slightly boring again, but I just think he's going to take a hell of a lot of beating here. Won his last 4 starts, looks to be improving. Seems to settle now. He's over fences. Stiff 2 miles looks to be his absolute ideal conditions, and he loves Sandown, so can't have any negatives. Had a run already, won that. No negatives. L'Eau Du Sud, I actually, he proved me wrong at Cheltenham. Proved that he can go up into this open class, and he gave Jonbon a right beating that day. I just think he's a better horse fresh. I'm glad I seen what I did at Cheltenham, because it proved to me he can compete with the big boys. But now he's got to prove to me he can go. He can go again so quickly, and he's not going to be fresh like he was at Cheltenham. So that question mark will remain, and Jonbon, I simply can't have him over 2 miles anymore. I'm sure I could be proven wrong, and we know how much he loves it around Sandown. This is his race, arguably, for the last 3 to 4 years. He normally just rocks up and wins it, but I think Il Etait Temps proves a complete different opposition for him. He's actually rated £2 higher than Jonbon now as well, and
already
he looks to be on an upward curve, whereas Jonbon there's question marks appearing for him. And I honestly can see L'Eau Du Sud finishing ahead of Jonbon again into second. Liberty Hunter, you can't trust him to stay on his feet, unfortunately. But if I had to be forced to play a forecast, it'd be Il Etait Temps for L'Eau Du Sud. I've really lost it with Jonbon now.
A raw dismantling there of Jonbon, but a wise pick at the very top. Cotty, you are probably short of John Paul, Jonbon's biggest fan. He goes with a chance to win. Would this be his third Tingle Creek? I think at 4-1, the stiffest of those three in terms of opposition that he'll have faced. Of course, I know he's put Edwardstone, Boot Hill, all those behind him in the past, but we know they've got their limitations. Like some people will look at Jonbon and 4-1 and think, "Oh my God, that pays for Christmas." What's your take on the Tingle Creek?
I don't think there'll be many Christmas presents bought in those households if you're taking that look about the race. But no, sadly, I think the Shloer chase was bitterly disappointing. But if Jeremy Scott can get Golden Ace back from Weatherby to the fighting fifth, then why can't Henderson get Jonbon from the Shloer to the Tingle Creek back? But I do think Mullins, gets in the way with a Il Etait Temps. Il Etait Temps brushed it aside in the celebration chase at Sandown at the end of last season. I think beat it by 5.5 lengths or something, and has come out and won that race over in Ireland very, very impressively to show that it's in the same form as it was last season. Like Matty said, like Sandown, so that shouldn't be the track's definitely no issue. Jumps well, gets in a nice rhythm, isn't too headstrong anymore. I think 8-11 is, I think, a fair enough price. I think I'd rather back this 8-11 or L'Alhambra 8-11. I'd think I'd probably just edge back in Il Etait Temps at 8-11. But either way, the double there looks free enough, doesn't it? You'd like to think, but as we saw on the weekend, nothing is ever simple. But no, I think that double, a lot of punters will be on that double for the weekend. But no, I'll keep it boring and I'll stick with the Mullins horse. As for the second place, I don't really have a strong opinion between L'Eau Du Sud and Jonbon. I'd like to see Jonbon run a much better race and come second, and if not win it. But as per the race before, I really do think Lump Sum could put it up to L'Alhambra and definitely come second. But this race, I don't have a strong opinion on a forecast. But the favourite should be winning this.
I love this horse. I absolutely love talking about Il Etait Temps, and I could do it all day, really, truly I could. I was at the Dublin Racing Festival in 2023 when he won the Irish Arkle at 12-1. I put him up for that podcast a couple of years ago when we did that. Breezed in brilliantly that day as well, just found and found and found. Went to the English Arkle and was a little bit disappointed in fifth, and kind of the question that we're going to have for the end of the season is Cheltenham his place? I don't know, because the performances he's been putting on flat decks, especially like we said here at Sandown, well, obviously he's got the rail fences to maneuver again, but that win in the Celebration Chase off a 359-day layoff was just brilliant. He was fantastic. Reappeared, of course, in the Clonmel Oil there a couple of weeks ago. Didn't have a lot to face, but proved himself fantastic over 2.5 miles. I'm still not 100% sure on his trip. Is he going to go to the Champion Chase? Is he going to go to the Ryanair? Is he going to wait for the bowl at Aintree? I still don't really know, but what I do know is this is a powerhouse of a horse. Willie Mullins will have him utterly primed for this, and 8-11 is buying turkeys at Christmas, in my opinion. I had a little bit on evens before entries, but I'm going to be going big on this horse on Saturday. Really, really big fan of Il Etait Temps, and I just think, look, L'Eau Du Sud was very good in the Shloer chase. He's proved himself, like Matty said, there in open company. He will probably win big races. I just think this is too big. Jonbon, I want to see, as many do, him come back to his fine form and prove that he's able to possibly get his day in the Champion Chase or the Ryanair. That remains to be seen. If he blows out here over 2 miles, then that's his game done at this stage. But like he's the manner of consistency, isn't he? And there's no reason he won't get another one of those brilliant top 2 finishes that he always seems to get. And I'm dismissing the rest of the field now if any of them win. You two can do the podcast yourself next week. That takes care of Sandown then. Some fantastic racing there, be it some short favourites, but hopefully they can go in and we can start building pots towards one of the best races of the season. The 240 Aintree is the William Hill Becher handicap chase over the Grand National fences over 3 miles and 2 furlongs. 6-year-old and above, as you have to be qualified to do that to go over the Melling Road. It's a wide open field here, and it's a couple of returnees from the races we did a couple of weeks ago. Mr. Vango in there at 6-1 as the favourite, and has had plenty of support. Will carry top weight if he goes here. Gaborio still solo down in the handicaps at 8-1. Big prices about the rest in the field. We'll go to Cotty first. Then you've got a bit of a knack for these big handicaps, and it's a wide open field as it always does. We're looking for horses that want to take a big paycheck here, but of course keep themselves well enough in the handicap to qualify and run a big race, of course, in April in the Grand National. You get a great chance to sort of trial them over these fences. You could have a couple of angles in this, so I'll leave the floor to you for the Becher.
Yeah, I think you've got to start with White Rhino after its performance last time out. Was given a very soft ride by Sean Bowen that day. Was almost like to say, okay, let's have a clear round, get the confidence into the horse that can jump the bigger obstacles, and then we'll go win the we'll have a better shot at the Becher, which is obviously a much bigger part. The horse has been back from 20-1 into 8-1 as things stand. It's only carrying 10 stone 13. I think that'll be there or thereabouts to the finish. Mr. Vango had a very good season last year. However, coming in here off a mark of 152, carrying 12 stone after not running for 266 days, maybe a bit of an issue, but absolutely loves soft to heavy conditions. Stays all day. It won the Midlands National over 4 mile 2 for Jack Tudor, who takes the ride. So yeah, that's got plenty of things going for it. Just maybe question mark the layoff and the weight as such. Would only be 2 question marks, maybe not concerns. Mahomes Glory right down the bottom of the market. I think it's about 33-1. Second outsider. That ran a very decent race in the Grand Sefton. Went a good clip, came fourth that day. That will probably give a good account for itself. Maybe the step up and trip for that horse isn't exactly what it looked like it needed next time out, but the connections are taking their chance. A fair play to them. That could maybe outrun its odds at 33-1. Yeah, but Yeah, I'm not sure if this is a really a great field, if I'm honest, for a pot that's worth 85 grand. You'd have liked to have seen a bit more class in the race, I think. I'll play White Rhino at 8-1 and just hope that it's given a ride where it can be competitive this time out. You don't normally say that when Sean Bowen rides it, but no, obviously he's rode to instructions that day, and maybe the horse's big day is Saturday. But yeah, I didn't think it was a great race really for the pot. So, I'll go for White Rhino.
White Rhino there at the top of the market. Yeah, good analysis there, to be fair. I thought that, I don't know if it was a day off for White Rhino last time out, but I thought that maybe he probably is more suited to 3 miles too here going round again. And he's got a good chance carrying 10 stone 13. I actually looked at Mahon's Glory at the top, the bottom of the market there as well at 33-1. I just thought that was a big price, to be fair, carrying 10 stone 10. And I don't know, maybe we're due a bit of an upset in one of these, but I'm not going to tip him up, but I thought he had a pretty good chance. A lot of these, don't they, Matty? They go round. I don't know. They do these sort of circuits, don't they? This lot, and it's kind of is it remnant and harsh to call it like a class 4 at Wolves, where they all take each other on and they all have their day, and it's very hard to find which one's going to win. I mean, it might be difficult. It's good to see Gallia de la Toe getting back here as well. One time had a chance in the national, maybe her chance is gone now, but wide open beach, a ticky pick.
Yeah, my pick in the race is going to be King Turgeon. He won the Grand Sefton last season. Ran okay in his reappearance in that same race, 6th, beating about 8 lengths, but looking like he's ready to try this test over these fences now. That the further trip is what I'm referring to there. Sorry. Has won over 3 mile 2 around Cheltenham, so staying's not going to be a problem. I just thought he's a big price here at 10-1. Second run after a wind up, again ticks a nice box. David Pipe's got off to a decent start this season, and I think this could be a good little one of his bigger pots of the season for him. Lovely weight, 10-11, soft ground, not a problem. Wouldn't want it to get absolutely bottomless, but if it stays soft, happy days. We know this horse loves these fences, so ticks plenty of boxes for me. I liked Bioluminescence, but Gavin Cromwell's horses are just nowhere near where they should be for the caliber of trainer.
Yeah.
2 winners from 64 runners in the last 2 weeks.
Astonishing.
Unbelievable. I mean, she'd interest me a lot if he was in better form, but just cannot take that risk at the moment. So yeah, King Turgeon back at each way, 10-1, lovely price, I think, and I'd be surprised if he's out of the places.
Yeah, and you'll get plenty of them, I'm sure, on the weekend if we manage to get a full field here. I actually just sort of got talked into it a little bit listening to Cotty there about Mahon's Glory, and I'm going to give him a chance at 33-1. When he runs his races, he's pretty consistent. Like 4 of the last 5, he's been in the top 2. He's 9, which is pretty fine for the trends here, and gets off with a bit of a 10 stone 10 weight here. What a win that would be for Dylan Cunha as well. At the bigger prices, I just thought, no chance no way he couldn't be out of the top 6, in my opinion. And then a horse that I've continually sort of backed throughout these races, and I'm sure he's finally going to get one up, and that's Gaborio, who ran a brilliant second from nowhere, really, last time out was it the Grand Sefton, the last time they ran over the national fences. And I think getting the full trip up to 3 miles 2 here, he's still so well in with the handicapper, of course, because he's only 125. Carrying 10-1 around the national fences is always something that's going to catch my eyes. And I think that the 4 weeks off that a lot of these have had from that run in the Sefton's fine. I didn't dismiss White Rhino either. I think it was not a non-trying performance, but just never really seemed to get going that day. He could be in there at 9-1. But Gaborio, hopefully this is finally the day that I get paid on this horse, as I feel I am duly obliged to. And we've got one race left to take you through then from the Sunday. It's the big race from Huntington's calendar. That's the Skybed Peterborough Chase, which goes off at 3 o'clock. And it's a grade 2 for 2.5 milers. Jella's won this before, and he's the 4-6 favourite. That I couldn't believe when I seen it. St. Sam, one of my old friends, possibly coming over from Mullins, 100-30. It'd be a decent price for him to take. Hitman is back off a 6-week layoff at 5-1. Jonbon's in the entries, ignore that. And then it's big prices, possibly about Boom Ball might go. or Saint Segal for Jane Williams? We'll start with yourself then, Matty. Jello's 4-6. Gap feels short now.
No, I think this is. You said Il Etait Temps was better the year. I think this fella could be at 4-6. I mean,
Really?
he beat Protectorat in this race last year. There's not a horse in here that's on Protectorat's level. Saint Sam, I can't see him coming over. He'd be interesting if he did, but I'd still be with Jello. Hitman, he's had his day this season. There's no way he can come here and win. Boomborn, it's going to be too soft for Boomborn. He loves spring ground and bouncing off the ground. Maybe Edwardstone would be the one at a price with a bit of a chance. Obviously,
He'll go to
classy
the Tingle
animal.
Creek, won't he?
You'd have thought so. So again, what we were potentially looking 4 runners, maybe 4 or 5 runners. Yeah, I think I think he's as close to a certainty as it gets here. The one horse of Venetia's I'm sure there's been a couple, but the big name of Venetia's horses that's come out and kicked off his season with a bang, and I think that says a lot because a lot of our other stars have struggled. I mean, Cott referred to Hunter Legend earlier. We both backed him on Saturday at Newbury, and honestly, we could have stopped watching after the first. It was horrendous watch. So yeah, I think the fact Jello won the Charlie Hall first time out says he's in top form, and he's only 7. He's still open to improvement. This horse, I think he is the bet of the weekend for sure.
Big comments there about the odds-on favourite there, Jello, who won this. Was it last season or 2 seasons ago now? Like you said there about Protectorat, the horse he beat that day, and none of them on his level. Cotty, I mean, the good point Matty makes there is obviously this is going to be a 4-runner race. It's going to break up. A lot of these will go to Sandown. So, I mean, if it's a 4-runner race, you're probably thinking Jello 4-6 now. He's going to be, 4-9 come Sunday afternoon. Is that your thinking in the race, or is there something at value that you quite like?
Yeah, I've currently just loaded up Bet365 to take the price at 4-6 and do the treble with Il Etait Temps and Lambert. To be quite frank, yeah. When you look at the entries, there's no way Saint Sam will come over. Surely,
I don't know why not.
You'd like to think that if it was, it might be a little bit shorter than 10-3. Would you think?
I think that's classic sort of Mullins pricing for markets. But then again, like Saint Sam has got a lot to prove if he's going to be able to keep going at 2.5 miles. His best days are long past him, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean Hitman is far from consistent. Has already had a win this season, so I wouldn't be taking 5-1 for him to be backing it up, especially against DiGello. I think the real interesting thing for me here is Edwardstone. I mean, this race is worth £45,000 to the winner. So what, second would get 20 grand? About
Give
that.
or take, yeah.
I mean, if I was Alan King, I wouldn't bother with the Tingle Creek on Saturday, and I'd be coming here to take second prize. I think. I couldn't trust Hitman. I can't see Saint Sam come in. Jonbon's obviously going to run in the Tingle Creek. Matty said that Boomborn won't go. Ground will be too soft for that one. So I mean, you're gonna plod round, and you'd like to think that Edwardstone would get the better of Saint Segal as well. And then right at the bottom of the market, the horse we spoke about in the last race, Mahone's Glory, that will probably go for the Becher. So yeah, if I was Alan King, I'd be I think I'd reroute and come to Huntington, and you've only got to get really one horse on a bad day to take 45 grand. Well, for the Tingle Creek, I'm not sure what the winner of that gets. Probably 80 grand or something. You're going to need 3 horses to have a bad day, and then you'd still have to serve it up to Liberty Hunter if that was to stay on its feet. So I think that's the most important, interesting play here is what Alan King would do. But no, sadly, another boring selection. There's been 5 races, and we've all tipped up 3 odds on shots. But you'd arguably say this is the bet of the 3. I think I'm in agreement with Matty. I'm just Just trying to get what price the treble is.
Yeah, I'm probably about near enough 7-2, 4-1. I don't have a bet in the race, to be honest. If St. Sam did come over, I've like you two know, I've backed him for donkey's years. But I think I did make the good point there that his best days are over. And mind you, the races he has been running in Ireland and France have been very competitive, and very rarely is he outside of the top two here. So 130 might seek a little bit of anti-post value. It's just a case of, is Willie waiting for something next week in Ireland? I think there's a 2.5 mile at Thurles next week that he might go to. Otherwise, this kind of, like, the reason I say maybe that he might come over is obviously Willie's got to start getting prize money on the board if he's going to win a third trainers title. And like you said there, this is 45 grand that Dan's probably not going to have a runner in, which is a little bit disappointing. I've seen Protectorate's obviously being saved for something else. But yeah, I just thought, like, nothing to disrespect Jello. This is his back garden in a sense. He's won this before. He loves 2.5 miles. He won't mind the ground too much. But I've never really got on with Jello too much personally. So I'm happy to just fade him at 4-6. Maybe play St. Sam on the day, but nothing that deserves a graphic at the very least. And that is your Big Five for the week. And that's your tips from the Big Five for this week. But it's not the end of the tips, of course. We've got our nap of the week selections. Cotty's coming with a 6-timer very shortly. We'll go to Matty first, though, because he has got his nap selected and ready. Who are you going for?
Something a bit different this week from me. Cott's already listed this bet. I'm going to do the treble, the weekend treble. Jello, Il Etait Temps, and Lil Amber. There we go. Sorry, I've been thinking about that much and it's gone out of my head. Treble for the nap. It's going to pay about 3-1. Honestly, cannot see one of them being beaten at all. But don't want to put up, one at 4-6. I think, it's not ideal, but put all three of them together. Hopefully you get about 3-1, 7-2 maybe. And I think it's an absolute outstanding bet.
Do you just wonder, though, that like most weeks when you come and do this, you can't find one horse to win, that putting three, it might be a bit satanic?
Yeah, but I think these three, I cannot see a negative for any of them, to be honest.
I love it. Brilliant. I'll probably be on at least two of them anyway. So Matty's weekend treble, new segment there for you. He's on the three favourites that we covered in the Big Five. So hopefully you can manage to get those three in at the weekend. I'll jump in with mine then, and I'll take you to lovely Aintree Racecourse for the 205 there. That is it's a juvenile listed race there for the kiddies. And I'm going to take the favourite here as well. I'm going to go with Treasure Planet for Paul Nicholls, and Freddie Gingle's going to be up there for the ride, whilst Harry Cobden is, of course, at Sandown at the weekend. And I'll do that on the back of a run from, I think it was about 3 weeks ago now, where he was odds on in a match race against Mojito de Motes, Ben Pauling, JP McManus, and he really, really flew home that day. 18-length winner. And that was after making a couple of jumping mistakes, as you do often, of course, see from these juveniles. If his jumping improves, the idea of him getting 2 miles and change here at Aintree should just be a quick double fire for him. 5-4 at the minute. He ain't going off that on Saturday, so that's one you can probably get a little bit of pricing on. He's had 2 runs now as a juvenile since he went from Donica's to Paulo Nicholls to switch over to hurdles. Was 4th on his first day out of Chepstow when Ames, who has since not really franked the form lines, unfortunately. People were talking about him being the supreme winner when he won those quick fire doubles. But hopefully that race is going to be a bit of a scratch, and you can go off that Ludlow form. So it's going to be Treasure Planet for me at the weekend at Aintree. Cotty, we'll try this again then. So we've got you going for your 6th win in as many weeks, your 7th in 11. You just set off there you're trying to get to 10 in a row. How are you going to do that?
We're going to go to Leicester on Thursday. Tristan Durrell takes the ride. Apoy de Nom was sweet on this horse at Cheltenham last time out. Jumps very well. Seemed to like the rain softened conditions that day. Got a mark of 124. The 6 runners should only be really one to beat. The Alex Hales horse north of Richmond, who was fairly impressive last time out at Fakenham. But I just think, the scouting horses are going along nicely. Tristan can take £3 off its back, so it's carrying 11 stone 3. The time before it won at Cheltenham, it was second behind a horse called Gentleman to Boot for Pipe, who I think is a very decent animal. hence why I took the form line over to Cheltenham to back a Poyden on that day. Did win over 2 mile 5 at Cheltenham, is getting dropped back to 2 mile, but I don't think that will be too much of an issue myself. And yeah, I'd expect this to take all the beatings. So that's the 2 o'clock at Leicester at Poyden on.
Going for a 6th in a row. That was a nice winner as well. I remember in Cheltenham about 9-2 you had. That was your nap of the day as well. That was a bullish one. Of course, we heard from Tristan earlier. That's a ride for him at Leicester. I don't think I'll ever nap anything from Leicester in my lifetime, but you're pretty sweet on that then. And I would never doubt yourself. We'll carry 11-6, less 3 for Tristan taking the ride. That's your nap of the weeks out of the way. And there you have it then. That is the big 5 covered for the week. We had a brilliant discussion, of course, earlier about the future of Cornhill, the new line, Golden Aces, prospects for the champion hurdle after winning another Grade 1 in the Fighting Fifth. We took you through the Hennessy. And, of course, make sure to check our socials for that interview with Tristan. That'll be out very shortly to cover and get his thoughts on his biggest win to date. Everyone's favorite part of the show this is, because I get to ask Cotty what he's doing with his weekend. Goodness, there's 40 on. There's some decent racing, but what I don't even know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing actually. I'm staying up till 4 a.m. covering the worst national cricket team in the world at the minute. What are you doing with your weekend, Cotty?
Yeah, I'd imagine a couple of lads are back from Australia. A couple of my mates are back from Australia. So yeah, see them. Have a few beers. Villa's on early Saturday. I think they've got Arsenal 12:30. So yeah, be watching that, and then football again Sunday. Still haven't lost yet in any cup and competition or league. So look to continue the form there, and yeah, hopefully another decisive cup win on Sunday, and then yeah, see what happens after that. But no, good time of the year, like December. You know, everyone's in a good mood. The weather's a bit shit, but apart from that, it's pretty shit all year round, isn't it? But no, good weekend ahead, and yeah, some good racing as well. If that treble lands, then yeah, it could be a Sunday session inbound.
There we go. Come on the Villa on Saturday. Could do you getting 3 against Arsenal at the weekend.
You want to worry about beating Fulham tonight?
That would be a start, yeah. But a bit worried that we're not looking brilliant at the minute, but hopefully we can just fall in against Fulham. Matty, similar question for yourself, I suppose. I don't know how many. Well, I suppose it's a bit nicer because it's 4 a.m. starts with this day-night test now for the Ashes coming up. So I suppose by the time you get to lunch, it's only about 6 o'clock, probably 6:30. So some early mornings incoming, and hopefully we can just get one on the board.
Yeah, no, I'll be up at 4, I'd say, to watch the cricket. Saturday and Sunday, try and get plenty of it watched. Hopefully it goes a bit longer than 2 days. But no, looking forward to it anyway. And yeah, pretty quiet weekend for me, to be fair. Just be watching the sport and yeah, play footy myself on Sunday. And yeah, nice and quiet. Hopefully we're back a few winners, and yeah, we'll go again next week.
Absolutely. Will Jack's half century and 3 wickets is 8-1. Get your house on. Good to see him back in the team. Thank you, boys, for coming on. Brilliant, fantastic
What are you doing,
racing.
Bob? I'd imagine you offer more pizza dates, or was that just a one-off?
If I can leave that in, God.
Why? Let the viewers know what they want to hear.
All right, yeah. I think I've got a date on Saturday.
Bright red, any?
I think I've got one on Saturday. It's a TBC, depending on how well or bad England do and how bad my sleep is. But thanks for that. Appreciate that. That's a bit of public life information that the world didn't need to know. Brilliant. We will see you next week with racing from wherever it is. Actually, funnily enough, we're back at Cheltenham next week. We don't know what day we'll be on, but we will be here to take you through the best of the action and review the Tingle Creek, etc. Thank you, boys, for coming on, and we will see you next week. Thanks for sticking with us.